Hey guys, what's going on? Just doing a quick video here. Um, I didn't really plan on making this video until Monday or Tuesday, but I've been thinking about it a lot, and I feel like I just need to say it now. And I was just thinking about it while I was watching the Dig Shopify series, which, by the way, is going about what I expected, complete chaos, as Fudge kills Photon here. I just got done watching LEC, and uh, I've been thinking about this for a bit, but I think I'm gonna be careful with the way I word this because I don't want to make I don't want to make any crazy claims. That's not my goal here. But I just want to say it because uh, it just I feel like it just needs to be said. And I imagine a bunch of people already are, but I feel like I need to say it, and I need it to be out there at least. But to me, I think what happened to LR today, what happened to Los Ratones today in LEC is a bit weird. I'm I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to I'm not going to make any further claims. I'm not going to, oh, sorry. I forgot to turn off my thing here. There we go. It doesn't matter. It's a temp video anyway. Um I'm not going to go any further than that. I'm not going to say, that it was rigged or that, the teams conspired or anything like that. I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to say it beyond giving that example because I don't want to make that claim, and I'm not making that claim, just to be clear. But I do think that this whole thing has been a little too convenient for the teams and for the owners, particularly the owners that were not very pleased with Los Ratones getting a spot in the first split. In terms of my reasons for believing this, I'm not going to go too in depth. Again, really short video, just want to get it out there. I I find one, the gameplay was strange. I'm not really going to talk about. I don't really think the Fnatic or the G2 game is something to concern yourself with because that game, honestly, Fnatic is not a great team in general. I do think G2 is just better than them, and so that result to me is plausible. I can't I can see that result being reasonable. The other two games, however, are very strange to me. K Corp, to start with that game, K Corp is the best team in the league in LEC. And when you look at their statistics, you look at the way that they win games, the drafts that they play, the way that they played against uh, Heretics was very, very weird. I think to start just with draft, I find their draft to be kind of strange in general. I'm not really sure what they were thinking, really, with any of their picks, but I think their most egregious pick was their mid lane. I find LeBlanc into Aurora mid to be questionable at best, especially considering the fact that LeBlanc is not a champion that their mid laner plays. When you look at his career history, including everything in Tier 2, in academies, in anything, he's only played LeBlanc once, and it was into Azir. And I just find it weird that when, the entirety of the start of this year, Aurora mid has been played 70 times, and the fact that LeBlanc has never been once picked in, picked into Aurora mid, and it just so happens that this player on this random day decided it's a good counter. I'm going to lock it in, and then proceeds to get destroyed on it. I just think that's weird. I just think that's strange. And I don't know. I think that's really weird. And then you want to talk about the bot lane stuff where Busio and Kalist, who even though I'm an NA fan and I don't really have a lot of respect for many European players that currently play in LEC because I think the league in general isn't very good right now in terms of game quality. They are two insanely good players. Busio obviously was amazing in LCS and internationally all of last year. Kalista is an incredibly talented AD carry. And I just cannot imagine that these two are being 6-0'd, right? They're both down 0-3 each in laning phase to ice. I'm sorry, but the way this split went, are you serious? No way. I can't buy that. I don't believe that. That to me that is just really suspicious. Just really suspect. And then when you look at the other game, you want to talk about the Na'Vi game and their game against MKOI. That draft all around is just terrible for Na'Vi. There isn't a single good pick on Navi's side. You want to talk about their 80 carry? We're picking Caitlyn into Corky. We're picking, we're picking Pantheon into Talia. We're picking hang on, let me find it. I want to get it right, but it's just like uh yeah, we're picking Caitlyn into Corky, we're picking Azir and Pantheon into Talia. By the way, in all of the tournaments, or sorry, no, in LEC, in all of the games, Azir has I think its second highest presence in Fearless. Granted, it's best of ones, but whatever, right? It's second highest presence of all champions in the game. Azir has a horrible win rate into Talia. And everyone knows that Azir is in general bad into Talia because it heavily limits the way Azir is able to play team fights. And the laning phase isn't the greatest either. And so why are we picking it into Talia? Why are we picking Pantheon into Talia, which is another one that is horrendous? Or Aatrox into Talia? Right? I just don't get it. I don't think Nico's good here. I don't think anything they had is good here. And they got absolutely annihilated. This is the second best team in LEC. And they normally destroy their opponents with some exceptions throughout the split, right? Look at this. This is their game against G2. Absolute destruction. Literally yesterday. Complete annihilation. 10-1 and 13 in jungle, 0-4 and 22 in mid, 12-1 and 10 AD carry against G2. And they're not a terrible team. They're not a good team this year, but they're not a terrible team. They're about at the same level as MKOI. And yet, for whatever reason, overnight Na'Vi lost their hands and they decided that they were going to shrink 50 IQ points. And they get absolutely destroyed by Koi. I don't know. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to go too much further into it because, I don't want it to be, it's not too big of a deal, right? And there's not going to be many people who watch this anyway, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. But I do think that at the bare minimum, I think this should at least be investigated. I don't expect anything to come from it, and I highly doubt anything will, but the whole thing just seems a little too convenient for the owners. It's just a little sus how everything played out. So, That's all I have to say. See ya.